and 2 other residents who'd been getting their mail turned to watch. Derek stopped. "Fine," he spat. "Fine. But this isn't over." He turned and walked out, but not before kicking over a lobby chair. More property damage. More footage on the security cameras. The police did come, though Derek was gone by then. I filed a report, adding it to the documentation I'd been keeping. The officer who took my statement said that given the pattern of behavior, the threats, the property damage, the violations of the building ban, I had grounds for a restraining order. I'm in the process of filing one. Final update. It's been 3 weeks since I filed for the restraining order, and it was granted. Derek is now legally required to stay at least 500 feet from me and my residence. He cannot contact me directly or through third parties. My dad has stopped speaking to me entirely. His last message was a text that read, "When you're ready to apologize to this family, let me know. Until then, don't bother calling." I haven't responded. I'm not sure I will. My stepmother still occasionally sends me guilt-laden messages about how Derek is struggling and how families should stick together. I've started just not opening them. It's easier that way. Here's the thing that I keep coming back to. I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't create this conflict. All I did was buy a condo, work my job, and ask my stepbrother to respect a simple boundary: don't use my address without permission. That's it. That's the entirety of what I asked for. And for that, I've been called selfish, cold, dramatic, and told that my grandmother would be ashamed of me. I've been screamed at in my own lobby, had my home invaded, been threatened, and had to file a restraining order against someone I grew up with. Derek made every single choice that led to this outcome. He chose to use my address without asking. He chose to keep doing it when I asked him to stop. He chose to lie to employers. He chose to let himself into my apartment. He chose to get aggressive. He chose to violate the building ban. He chose to threaten me. But somehow, in my family's narrative, I'm the villain. I've done a lot of thinking over these past few months about family and obligation and what we owe to the people we're related to. And here's what I've concluded. Being family doesn't mean being a doormat. Love doesn't mean letting someone walk all over you. Support doesn't mean enabling bad behavior. I tried to help Derek, in my own way. I held his mail. I let him visit, even when it was inconvenient. I gave him chance after chance to just do the right thing. And instead, he escalated at every opportunity. So no, I don't feel guilty. I feel sad, sometimes, about the relationship with my dad that's been destroyed. But I don't feel guilty. Some of my friends think I should reach out to Dad and try to repair things. Others think I'm better off without family members who would put Derek's entitlement above my safety. I'm honestly not sure which camp is right. But here's what I know. I come home to my condo now, and it's peaceful. My mail is my own. My fridge is stocked with food that I get to eat. My couch doesn't have a freeloader on it when I walk in the door. And when I lock my door at night, I know that the people in my building will actually keep me safe. That's worth something. That's worth a lot, actually. So, Reddit, was I the asshole for setting boundaries, documenting violations, and ultimately getting my stepbrother banned from my building and obtaining a restraining order? I know what I think. But I'm genuinely curious what you all have to say. Edit. Thank you for all the responses. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. For those asking, yes, I have all the documentation saved in multiple places, including cloud backups. Yes, I've changed my locks and added an additional deadbolt. Oh, I don't know if Derek ever found employment. That's not my concern anymore. For those saying I should have just let him use the address, I hope you never have to learn the hard way why enabling someone's bad behavior doesn't actually help them. Take care of yourselves, everyone. And remember, no is a complete sentence. NTA, I hope. One more thing. A few people have asked what finally made me realize I needed to take serious action, and I think it's worth sharing because it might help someone else in a similar situation. It wasn't the first time Derek showed up uninvited. It wasn't even when I found him in my apartment eating my food. It was the moment in my lobby when he stepped toward me and I felt afraid of him. Physically afraid. In my own building. In the place I worked so hard to afford. The place that was supposed to be my sanctuary. That feeling, that cold twist in my stomach when someone who's supposed to be family makes you feel unsafe, that was the moment everything crystallized for me. I grew up being taught that family comes first, that you sacrifice for the people you love, that blood is thicker than water. And I still believe in those things to a degree. But I've also learned that those principles can be weaponized. They can be used to guilt you into accepting treatment you would never tolerate from a stranger. They can be used to make you feel selfish for wanting basic respect. Derek and my dad and stepmother all tried to use the concept of family as a trump card. Like the word itself should override my comfort, my safety, my boundaries. Like being related to me gave Derek automatic access to my home, my address, my life. It doesn't work that way. It shouldn't work that way. To anyone else dealing with a family member who refuses to respect boundaries, document everything. Tell people you trust. Don't let anyone make you feel crazy for wanting to be treated with basic decency. And remember that setting boundaries isn't an act of aggression, it's an act of self-preservation. You are allowed to protect your peace. Full stop. Thanks for reading, everyone.
First story. I demanded that my son not attend his graduation ceremony after his twin sister failed. The entitled son refused, so I wrote a letter to his college not to recognize my son's achievements, forced my family not to attend the graduation, shamed my son, and took my daughter on a vacation on the same day. Now I've lost everything, and I regret everything. I 45F am just a mum trying to hold my family together, and I'm being made out to be some kind of monster by my own husband and son. I genuinely don't understand how doing what's best for both of my kids turned into this much backlash. My twins Ethan and Emily just turned 18. My husband, Mark 47M, and I have been parenting together for nearly 2 decades, and while it hasn't been perfect, I've always tried to do the right thing. My parenting style has always lent towards emotional balance and fairness, not treating them identically, but being conscious of how different they are and responding to their needs accordingly. That's what being a good mother is supposed to be, right? Ethan and Emily couldn't be more opposite, and honestly, they've been clashing since they were in kindergarten. Ethan is driven, organized, rarely complains, and just performs. Emily is softer. She's emotional, artistic, and more easily overwhelmed. She's had issues with anxiety since she was 12. She's incredibly creative, she writes and paints, and her teachers say she's compassionate and insightful. But she doesn't do well with pressure. School has always been more of a challenge for her. And because Ethan is naturally good at things sports, academics, leadership roles, people always notice him first. I can't count the number of times we'd go to a family gathering, and someone would start by praising Ethan, and completely ignore that Emily was standing right next to him. It used to make her cry in the car on the way home. So yes, I've always stepped in to protect her confidence. If people were praising Ethan's academic awards, I'd gently redirect. Did you see Emily's sketchbook lately? She's working on a graphic novel. At parent-teacher conferences, when teachers compared them, I'd shut it down. They're individuals. Please treat them as such. I've always believed that the quiet, gentle kids deserve just as much space as the overachievers. Maybe more. And this has been a long-term issue, not just a graduation thing. A few years ago, Ethan got an award for academic excellence, and our extended family threw him a surprise party. Emily stood in the kitchen, the whole time pretending to help with dishes just so she wouldn't cry. She said it felt like everyone was clapping for someone else's life while ignoring hers. That broke me, and it broke something between the twins too. Their relationships never recovered. Ethan brushes it off as her being too sensitive, but sensitivity is not a flaw. I don't understand why that's so hard for them to get. I've spent years being the only one who validates her emotions. Fast forward to this year, senior year, graduation season. Ethan's been cruising all year. Emily has been struggling since the fall. One of her teachers left mid-year. She had a panic attack during finals, and she ended up failing a required class. Because of that, she can't walk with her class. When the official graduation letters came, Ethan was on cloud 9. He ran downstairs waving his confirmation email, already asking about invitation, suits, and how many tickets he could get. Emily just quietly walked back to her room and didn't come out for the rest of the night. I found her curled up under her blanket, sobbing. She didn't even want dinner. She said, "I don't even want to be in the same room when he starts celebrating." And I get it. The next few days were brutal. Emily wouldn't talk much. She skipped meals, avoided her friends, and stopped drawing, which scared me because art is usually how she processes things. I tried everything to lift her spirits. I told her she's still brilliant and that a failed class doesn't define her. She's already planning to retake it this summer and graduate late. But right now, none of that is helping her emotional state. She said she doesn't deserve to celebrate anything, and that she feels like a walking disappointment. Meanwhile, Ethan and Mark are excitedly talking about tux rentals and dinner reservations like nothing is happening. I asked them to be more mindful, but Mark said, "We're just proud of him, he earned this." Like Emily's pain is just background noise. So I sat with it for a few days, And finally, I came up with what I thought was a compassionate compromise. Instead of going to the graduation, we could do a family day instead. Something simple but meaningful. I booked a cabin at a quiet little lodge 2 hours away. It's peaceful, surrounded by trees and lakes. I imagined the four of us having a quiet dinner, playing board games and laughing. No pressure. No comparisons. Just family. Yes, I booked it for the same day as graduation. On purpose. Because if we went to the ceremony, Emily would feel like we were all celebrating something she lost. But if we were together, focusing on us as a family, then maybe she could feel included, even proud of herself in her own way. I paid in advance, and no, I didn't ask for input, because I knew Mark would shut it down immediately. He's never really gotten the emotional side of parenting. When I told them, Ethan looked at me like I'd set his car on fire. He said, "You can go if you want, but I'm not missing my graduation." Mark flat out accused me of being manipulative, said I was making everything about Emily again. Ethan added, "This is exactly why she never gets better, because you keep rewarding her for giving up." That one stung. I don't reward failure, I support my children. There's a difference. They've both iced me out since then. Mark has been bonding more with Ethan, helping him pick out a suit, scheduling a haircut, and going over post-grad plans. It feels like they've formed this little club I'm not allowed into. Emily barely leaves her room. She's not eating. She told me she thinks her dad hates her for ruining the vibe. And I just feel stuck in the middle. Like no matter what I do, someone's going to accuse me of favoritism. But isn't it more dangerous to ignore the child who's falling apart? I genuinely don't believe I'm doing anything wrong here. If anything, I'm trying to do damage control. I'm trying to stop a permanent rift between them, the kind of resentment that lasts a lifetime. But apparently, I'm coddling and controlling. I know it looks like I'm taking something from Ethan, but I'm not. I'm trying to give something to Emily. After that conversation, everything in the house shifted. Ethan stopped mentioning graduation at all. He and Mark would whisper about it in the kitchen, or go out to run errands, and come back with garment bags. Emily, meanwhile, shut down further. She overheard Mark on the phone calling my trip idea ridiculous, and later told me she felt like the problem child ruining everything. She cried so hard that night she got a migraine. Our dinners are silent now. Emily picks at her food. Ethan scrolls on his phone. Mark sighs like he's exhausted with me before I even speak. I try to lighten the mood, suggest a movie, make everyone's favorite meals, but it's like living with strangers. I keep telling myself that once we're at the lodge, they'll understand. They'll see what I'm trying to do. And I've tried to make it meaningful. I've planned little touches, their favorite desserts, a slideshow of family photos from when the twins were little, and a small cake with both their names on it as a symbol of unity. In my mind, it's about reminding them we're a family, not a scoreboard. But when I told Mark about the slideshow, he said, "You're treating his graduation like a funeral. He worked for this. You're punishing him." I don't see it that way at all. I'm trying to stop my daughter from completely falling apart. She already thinks she's a failure. If we go to the ceremony, it'll be like publicly confirming she's less than her brother. I can't stand by and watch that. Mark says, I'm teaching Emily that her feelings matter more than Ethan's accomplishments. Ethan barely talks to me now. He slammed his door when I tried to ask him to understand. He told me, "You're making me hate her, and I don't want to." That one gutted me because I know how deep sibling resentments can run. I'm trying to prevent that very thing, but apparently I'm causing it. And yes, there's history here. This isn't the first time Mark and Ethan have decided I'm too soft. When Emily had a panic attack before her driver's test, Mark said, "She needs to toughen up," instead of comforting her. When she got dumped by her boyfriend last year, Ethan called her dramatic for crying. I've always been the only one in this house to take her seriously. If I stop now, what happens to her? We're a week out from graduation now. Ethan and Mark are still refusing to cancel. They've made it clear they're going, even if Emily and I don't. And honestly, I feel cornered. They're treating me like some manipulative dictator when I'm just trying to keep both my kids from becoming enemies. Mark keeps saying, "You're making this about you." It's not about me, it's about my daughter. Emily said, "I don't deserve to exist." I sat with her for 2 hours until she stopped crying. Ethan didn't even knock on her door. Mark went out for a drink with his coworker. I keep thinking, if I don't hold her up right now, she'll crumble. And yes, I know people will say, let Ethan have his day, but isn't he already getting that? Teachers, relatives, his dad, everyone is congratulating him. Who is congratulating Emily? Who is even seeing her? Everyone keeps framing this as me taking something from Ethan instead of giving something to Emily. I feel like the only person in this family who understands that empathy isn't optional. I've already paid for the lodge. It's non-refundable. I'm not canceling. I don't know how to make them see that this isn't about pride or punishment. It's about balance. How do I get my family to understand that being a mother means making sure no child feels forgotten? Ada? Comments. Comment 1. Holy hell, lady. That Unity cake line made me want to scream into a pillow. You basically told your son, congrats on working your arse off for 12 years. Here's a effing slideshow and a cake with your sister's name on it instead of your diploma. You don't want family unity. You want optics. You want to post smiling pictures in a cabin and pretend everything is fine while you bury the fact that you emotionally shafted one kid to bubble wrap the other. And you've clearly been doing this for years. You made sure no one noticed Ethan too much, because poor Emily might get sad. No wonder your son's checked out. You taught him that hard work gets ignored if someone else has feelings about it. And Emily, you've crippled her. You turned every stumble into a tragedy that had to be catered around. Life doesn't give out Unity cakes. It gives out consequences. And you just showed both of your kids the wrong ones. Comment 2. Alright, I'm going to say something no one here will. I get why you did it. I raised 2 sons. One was sharp as hell. The other struggled every damn year. And yes, I worried more about the one who hurt easier. That's what parents do. We protect the kid who breaks faster. But, and this is where you messed up, you don't protect one by punishing the other. You needed to find a way to lift your daughter up without kneecapping your son. This wasn't the move. You could have celebrated Ethan and had a separate healing day with Emily. You chose an ultimatum instead of a compromise, and now everyone's resentful, especially the one who actually did nothing wrong. Also, your husband's not emotionally stupid just because he doesn't cry on cue. You act like the only one with empathy, but you're just centering pain over progress. Try apologizing before you lose them both. Update. Well, the situation imploded. Not because of what I did. People in this family can't handle emotional complexity. White checklist of earned versus unearned. I've lost my husband, my home,